You're not depressed. You're not lazy. But every morning feels like you're waking up underwater. Your life looks fine on paper. Job, friends, routines. But inside, everything feels like static. Like you're watching your own life through a screen you can't touch. Scientists call this existential exhaustion, and it's happening to millions of people right now. What they don't tell you is that your brain is trying to protect you from something most people never see coming. There's a specific kind of tiredness that sleep can't fix. You close your eyes for 8 hours and wake up just as empty. Coffee doesn't help. Weekends don't help. Even things you used to love, your favorite music, that show you binged 3 times, now feel like chores. This isn't sadness. Sadness has weight and texture. This is different. It's flat, colorless, like someone turned down the volume on your entire existence. Here's what nobody tells you. Your emotions haven't disappeared. They've gone underground. Your brain detected a threat, not a predator or a disaster, but something quieter and more dangerous: meaninglessness. Think about your last conversation. Really think about it. Did you actually connect with that person, or were you just trading words like receipts? Most interactions now feel scripted. You laugh when you're supposed to, you nod, you respond, but nothing lands. Psychologists have a term for this: depersonalization. You become a spectator in your own life. You watch yourself go through the motions, and there's this weird distance between who you are and what you're doing. And here's the cruel part. You feel guilty about it. Because society keeps telling you to be grateful, count your blessings, practice mindfulness. But gratitude doesn't charge dead batteries. You can list 100 things you're thankful for and still feel completely hollow inside. Your brain wasn't designed for this world. For thousands of years, humans lived in small groups, faced clear challenges, and found direct meaning in survival. Hunt food, protect family, build shelter. Simple. Hard, but simple. Now, your brain gets 200 notifications before lunch. Each one triggers a tiny stress response. Email, text, news alert, someone liked your photo, breaking news that breaks nothing except your focus. Studies show the average person touches their phone 2,600 times per day. That's not connection, that's compulsion. Your brain mistakes digital stimulation for actual nourishment, like drinking salt water when you're thirsty. And here's what breaks you. Everything is shallow. Conversations have become content. Relationships have become networks. Even your experiences get flattened into stories you're already planning to tell before they're finished. You scroll for an hour and retain nothing. Just a blur of faces, opinions, tragedies, jokes, ads, more faces. Your brain is drowning in information but starving for meaning. Wait, here's something strange. Time itself starts behaving differently when you're in this state. Days blur together like wet paint. Monday becomes Thursday, becomes Monday again. But individual moments, they feel endless. You're sitting in a meeting and 5 minutes feels like an hour. Neuroscientists call this temporal distortion. When life lacks novelty and meaning, your brain stops encoding memories properly. Days disappear because nothing felt worth remembering. The exhaustion you feel isn't just tiredness. It's your nervous system running a marathon while standing still. Constant stimulation without any real challenge or growth. Your brain is spinning its wheels in mud, burning energy, but going nowhere.
You know what makes this worse? The voice in your head that won't shut up. Other people have real problems. You're just being dramatic. There are people with actual depression, actual trauma. What right do you have to feel empty? So, you try harder. You fake energy you don't have. You smile wider. You say, "I'm fine," with enough conviction that maybe you'll believe it too. But pretending takes energy. And when you're already running on empty, pretending becomes another exhausting performance. Here's what happens next. You become hyper-aware of your numbness. You analyze it constantly. Why can't I just feel normal? What's wrong with me? Am I broken? This meta-exhaustion, being tired of being tired, creates a loop. You're too aware of your emptiness to ignore it, but awareness alone doesn't change it. It's like watching yourself sink and narrating the descent. Psychologists call this rumination, but that word doesn't capture how exhausting it is. Your thoughts become this background noise you can't escape. Even when you're doing something else, part of your mind is still picking at the wound, asking the same questions that have no answers. And then, people notice. You've been quiet lately. Are you okay? You seem distant. Now you have to explain something you don't understand yourself. So you give them the abbreviated version. "I'm just tired." And they nod because everyone's tired. But you're tired and they're tired aren't the same species of exhaustion.
Eventually, you start pulling back. Not dramatically, not with announcements, just quietly. You decline invitations. You respond to messages hours later, or not at all. You stop sharing things that matter because sharing requires energy you don't have. This retreat feels necessary, like you're conserving oxygen. Social interactions that used to energize you now drain you. Even people you love feel like effort. But here's the trap. Isolation makes everything worse. Humans are tribal creatures. We need connection like we need food. But when you're existentially exhausted, connection feels impossible. So you hide. You exist in this strange limbo, desperately lonely, but unable to bridge the distance between yourself and others. You start living smaller. Your world shrinks. Work, home, screen. Home, screen, sleep. Sleep, work, home. The loop tightens until you're barely inhabiting your own life. And the strangest part? Sometimes you forget you feel this way. You'll have a moment, 10 seconds, maybe 20, where something breaks through. A song, a sunset, a random memory, and for that brief flash, you feel something real.
then it's gone, and the numbness rushes back in like water filling a hull. Those moments are dangerous because they remind you what you're missing. They're proof that you're not dead inside, just buried. And somehow, that's harder to accept.
Here's the part most people miss. This exhaustion isn't a malfunction, it's a message. Your brain and body are telling you something fundamental. The life you're living doesn't match the life you need. Not in a follow your dreams Instagram way. Deeper than that. Modern civilization offers endless stimulation, but almost no real nourishment. Entertainment isn't meaning. Comfort isn't purpose. Safety isn't fulfillment. Think about challenge. When's the last time you did something genuinely difficult? Something that pushed you beyond what you thought you could handle. Not busy work, not tasks, actual challenge that demanded growth. Your nervous system needs resistance to stay alive. Muscles atrophy without use. So does meaning. When life becomes too easy, too predictable, too safe, your brain starts shutting down non-essential functions, like caring, like feeling, like hoping. This is why people who feel tired of everything often aren't actually depressed in the clinical sense. They're understimulated at the level that matters. Their lives lack tension, risk, growth, stakes. But society keeps offering the wrong solutions. Take a vacation, practice self-care, try a meditation, buy this, do that. None of it works because none of it addresses the core problem. You're living a life that doesn't ask anything real from you. And here's the controversial part. Maybe that numbness you feel is actually wisdom. Maybe your psyche is refusing to cooperate with a life that insults your potential. Maybe checking out is the sanest response to a world that treats humans like content-generating machines.
So, what do you do? How do you climb out of this? The honest answer? Slowly. And not with tips or tricks. The first step isn't action. It's recognition. You have to stop fighting the exhaustion and start listening to it. What is it protecting you from? What is it pushing you toward? For most people, this exhaustion is a boundary, your psyche's way of saying no more. No more shallow interactions, no more meaningless tasks, no more pretending this is enough. Once you recognize that, something shifts. Not dramatically, but real. You start making small choices differently. You stop forcing yourself to care about things that don't matter. You let conversations end when they're done, instead of filling silence. You say no, without elaborate explanations. This isn't giving up. It's clearing space. Dead wood has to burn before new growth happens. And slowly, so slowly you barely notice, things that genuinely matter start surfacing, not from thinking about them, from living with less noise. A real conversation with someone who sees you, a problem that actually engages your brain, a risk that scares you in a way that feels alive rather than anxious.
Meaning doesn't announce itself with trumpets. It shows up quiet and strange, often in forms you didn't expect. Your job is to be empty enough to notice when it arrives. The people who escape existential exhaustion don't do it by adding more. They do it by subtracting everything that isn't real. What remains, whatever survives that fire, that's where you start building again.
But here's what nobody tells you about that rebuilding process. There's a specific moment that comes right before breakthrough, a moment that feels like the exact opposite of progress. Most people turn back right there, thinking they failed, when actually they're closer than they've ever been. That moment has a name, and what happens when you push through it changes